Hi, my name is Emily and welcome to Sweet Parents. In today's video, I'm super excited to share how to crochet this very easy and beginner-friendly blanket. This pattern looks harder than it actually is. All you use is one stitch for every row, and then you just change colors every 7 rows. And I walk you through step by step how to change the colors and how to do each stitch. So I made it as beginner friendly as possible. Now the other thing I wanted to mention is playback speed. So if you are wanting to slow down the video, if I'm talking too fast, or if you're wanting to speed up the video, if you're a little more advanced, you can adjust the playback speed in the bottom right corner, I believe it is, of the video, and it has like a little like a settings icon. Just click that and then you can click playback speed and you can adjust it to be faster or slow down the video. The other thing I wanted to mention was that this is actually a very quick project. It looks like it would take a long time, but this took me probably about 4 hours or so, and that was pretty relaxed and I really enjoyed working on it. I would probably say that for a beginner, it's going to take a little bit longer, but you can enjoy the journey and make it over several days. So I think it's a really great project to begin crocheting with. Then the other thing I wanted to mention was the yarn quantity that I used. So I ended up using a total of 4 balls, but I didn't use all of the balls. So I used 1 2/3 of the blue color yarn, so that you can see this is what I have left of the second ball. So I did 5 stripes of the blue, so let me show you that. So you can see I did 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 stripes of the blue. And then I did 2 stripes of white and then 2 stripes of gray. And I used about 2/3 of each of those balls. So you'll need a total of 4 balls if you're going to use the color, or if you're going to do the same 3 different balls of yarn. Or you'll need only 3 balls of yarn if you're just using like 2 colors. So, and you're using an even amount of each. And then that is it. So let's go ahead and get started. If you enjoy this video, please hit that like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And so let's get started. Alright, so the materials that you'll need today is this yarn. So this is called Bernat Blanket Yarn, and you can see that it is in the color white. You'll want to make sure that you're using a number 6 super bulky weight yarn for this project. Otherwise, it'll be a little bit different. And if you're okay with it being different, that's totally fine. But you might have to change your hook size. So make sure it's a number 6 super bulky weight yarn. And you can see that right below the barcode. So here's the barcode. And then right below that, it says a 6, and then it says super bulky. And that's how you know what weight of yarn it is. And the weight of yarn just kind of says how thick the yarn is. So if it's a number 7 weight yarn, it's going to be thicker. If it's a number 5 weight yarn, it's going to be thinner. The strand of yarn is going to be thinner. If it's a number 4, it's going to be thinner, and just going down, obviously. So you'll need the color white. You can use whatever colors you want, but this is just the colors I'm using. So you can see that this is 100% polyester, and you can also see that's 10.5 ounces, or right below that it says 220 yards. Let's see if it's, there we go, 220 yards. So that is the white color that I'm using. Then this is the other color of yarn I'm going to be using, and this is in the color Twilight. You can read it right below the barcode. Again, there we go. It says Twilight. And you can also see that this is number 6 super bulky weight yarn. It's the same Yarn Inspirations Bernat Blanket Yarn. And so that's the other yarn we're going to be using. Then I'm going to be using a lighter gray color. So this is technically called Mainstays Cozy Chenille Yarn. But you'll see right here it says number 6 super bulky weight yarn. So even though it's a different brand of yarn, it's the same thickness. Now, not always if it says number 6 super bulky weight yarn, will another number 6 super bulky weight yarn like be the same thickness, but normally it will be the same thickness. So I'm just going to be using this today. And I'm sure that Bernat Blanket Yarn has another color on their website. In fact, I'll put the link down below for probably a Bernat Blanket Yarn. But I just, at my local Walmart, didn't have that option, so I just decided to get this yarn. And so you can see the number 6 super bulky weight yarn. You can also see that this is in the color gray, so right above the barcode it says gray. So we just talked about the yarn, and it's number 6 super bulky weight yarn. So I'm going to be using a 12mm crochet hook, and this is a Clover & More brand. Now why I love this brand so much is that it is just extremely comfortable, and I really believe that for crocheters, especially when you're beginning, you can only crochet as well as your tools. So I believe that this is really good hook. All you'll need is a 12mm hook, but I highly recommend the Clover & More brand. And I'll put a link in the description box down below to where you can purchase it. But anyway, I just love this brand. Super comfortable, and it's a lot easier to learn to crochet. Actually, my cousin was I was recently helping her learn to crochet, and she started tried using one of my hooks, and she was shocked by how much better this was to use. So I highly recommend them. I'll put the link in the description box down below. Then you'll need scissors, obviously, just to cut your yarn. You'll need a tapestry needle, and then you'll also need stitch markers. Now, you don't absolutely need them, but I would definitely highly recommend you using them just because it makes it easier, especially when you're a beginner. And I have Clover & More is my absolute favorite brand of stitch marker as well. I've tried so many other stitch markers, and these are by far the best. So I'll put a link in the description box down below for that too. Now you can also just buy them at Joann's or I'm sure any other store, but I absolutely love these, and so I'll put a link in the description box down below. Now for the pattern of the blanket, this is what we're going to be doing. So I just made a little chart. It's going to be about 36 inches wide. So I googled about what the average baby blanket size is, and it's normally about 36 inches wide, and then it's going to be about 40 inches long. So that is kind of the measurements. And then each section will be 5 inches tall. So we are going to do, this is at least the colors I'm going to use. You can choose what color you want to be your most prevalent, but I'm going to be using blue, white, blue, gray, blue, white, blue, gray. So blue will be between each of the colors. So that is what I'm going to be doing. And you can see we will have 8 color blocks, and so we'll repeat a set of 4 twice. So blue, white, blue, gray, and then we'll repeat that again, blue, white, blue, gray. So that is what we're going to be doing, and I hope that makes sense. So to begin, what we're going to do is we're going to start with a foundation chain, and we're going to be going across. So we're going to start and go across, and then we're going to work our way up. All right, so to begin, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our yarn first, and we'll grab the hook in a second. So to begin, we are going to put the yarn at the base of our finger, or our hand, and we're going to wrap the yarn around your finger twice, like that. And then you can just hold the yarn and drop it in the back. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take the back loop and bring it forward. So you can see now we have the back loop, the new back loop, and the new front loop. And now we're going to take the new back loop and bring it all the way up and off your finger, like that. So tighten. And if you're struggling with any particular part of this video, I'll have links in the cards and in the description box down below to how to make slip knot chain, half double crochet, all the things. So to begin, now what we're going to do is we're going to make a chain. So to make a chain, so that was your slip knot. I'll show you that how to make that one more time, and then I'll show you how to make the chain. So you're going to put the yarn at the base of your fingers. You're going to wrap it around your finger twice. You're going to take the back loop, bring it up and over, and then you're going to take the new back loop and bring it all the way over and off your finger. And then you're going to grab the working yarn, which is the yarn that is attached to the ball, and tighten. Now you're going to put it on your 12mm hook, and we are going to begin by making a chain of 65. So to make a chain, you're going to yarn over and literally just pull through. It's that simple. So 1. Now you're going to use this finger and this finger to pinch it. And if you're struggling to hold your yarn, what I do is I put it between my pinky and my ring finger. So I mean, put it between, at least I'm going to call this my ring finger. So I'm going to put between, and then I'm going to yarn over. So to yarn over, you're going to wrap around, and then put your hook facing downward as you pull that through. So wrap around or yarn over, and then put the yarn facing downward, and you're going to want to make sure your 2 fingers are holding that as you pull it through. So wrap around and turn it down, and then pull through. Wrap around, turn it down, pull through. Wrap around, turn down, pull through. And it just makes it, and make sure as you're making your chains to use your whole, it's called a shaft, but use your whole part, your whole section, not just this little front, because otherwise you're going to end up with really tight chains, and we do not want that because you want your first row to not be super hard. So yarn over, have the hook facing down, and pull through. You're going to repeat this for a total of 65 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, how you count your chains is, what you're going to do is you're going to look at them, and you can see that there's multiple V's. So you can see here's V number 1, V number 2, V number 3, V number 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So let me show you with some gray yarn just to make sure you understand it. All right, so you can see that there is our chain. So you can see those V's. One V, then here's another V, here's another V, and here's another V. So you can see that that is, each V is one chain. So 1V, 2V, 3V, 4V, 5V. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. You can see is right there. So there's 7 chains right there. And then the back side will have 7 bumps. So it'll have 1 bump, 2 bump, 3 bump, 4 bump, 5 bump, 6 bump, and 7 bump. Almost like, a little bit like a dinosaur spikes or something. And because you're using a bit of a big hook, you won't notice like the bump as much, but if you use a smaller hook, you'll notice that more. So we're just going to continue to chain 60, go up to chaining 65. So I'm going to put my yarn back on my hook, and I highly recommend as you get 10, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and just yarn over, pull through for number 10. I like to put a stitch marker on my 10th chain, or you can do your 20th chain, but I like to put a stitch marker or anything that like locks shut, so that you can know that that is 10 chains and you don't have to come back and count constantly up to 65. So we're going to now do 65 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, you're just yarning over and pulling through. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20 for that one. There you go. And you're just going to continue that. So we have now about 30 chains, and we're just going to almost double that. So 35 more. 1, 2, and I'm going to meet you back once you have done 65 chains, and we will continue together. All right, so now we are going to begin the official row number 1. So I did 65 chains, and I put on every 10th chain, I did a stitch marker. So this is 1 section, 2 section, 3 sections, 4 section, 5 section, 6 section, and then here's the last 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Now you'll have a loop on your hook, and that does not count as a chain. So what you're going to do is you're going to yarn over, and just remember, yarn over is you just wrap around toward the back, so like that. And then you're going to not go, the loop on your hook does not count as a chain. You're going to skip that first chain, and you're going to go into the second chain from hook. So the second V. So here's 1 V, and then you'll be able to pull it apart, 2 V. And you're just going to insert into that, and just into 1 loop of it. You're going to yarn over and pull through, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So let me show you that with the gray yarn, and just to make sure you understand it. So here is the gray yarn. Now the loop on your hook does not count as a chain. You're going to skip that first V. So if I pull my hook, out. So there's that first V. You can see there's that one and there. So that's that first V. And then you're going to go into the second V. So here's 1 V, and then you're going to go right into that second V from your hook. It's really hard to show, but I hope you guys are getting the idea. So you're going to yarn over, skip that first V, and you can see that the yarn that we're doing or have on our hook is kind of pulling out of that first V. So that's that first V. And then you're going to yarn over and insert into the second chain. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So you're going then to yarn over. You're not going to go into that big hole because that's where we just did our half double crochet. You're going to skip that. You're going to go into the second, so the next chain. So you do 1 half double crochet per chain. So we're not going to go into that big hole because that was that half double crochet. We're going to go into the next chain. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through. Then you have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So now I'm going to go back to my blue yarn because I love this color so much. And for your first half double crochet, I highly recommend grabbing a stitch marker and just putting it there. So if you have the stitch markers on hand, they're just super handy and they make it a little bit easier. But if you definitely do not worry about it, and just start crocheting because it is so much fun. So now we did that first half double crochet. Now we're going to yarn over, so wrap around, then we're going to go into the next chain. So you can see there's that hole where we did the first half double crochet, and then you can kind of feel there's like a lump where both chains end, and you're going to go into that. After the lump, there's another kind of hole where you're going to insert. You're going to yarn over and pull through. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So then you're going to, that loop on that big hole, you're not going to go into. You're going to instead yarn over, and then you're going to go into the chain after that. So we do 1 half double crochet per chain. And you'll have that big hole, but you don't go into that. You're going to go into the following one. So make a half double crochet. So yarn over, go into that next chain, yarn over, pull through. You have 3 loops on your hook, 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Now, tip. When you're doing this, do not just go at the top of the little shaft. Make sure you're using the whole hook head. You don't want to just be using that little bit, otherwise you're going to get really tight stitches. So you're going to yarn over, go into the next chain, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And remember, as always, when you're pulling through, to turn your hook head down. So I'm going to show you that one more time. So yarn over, insert into that next chain, yarn over, pull through. So you have 3 loops on your hook. Now what you're going to do is you're going to yarn over, and remember when you're pulling through to turn your hook head down. So it's towards the ground. So there you go, there is your chains, and you're just going to continue to do this for all of round number 1. And I promise that round number 2, probably, at least for me, is easier. So just get through round number 1 and it'll be so much easier on round number 2. So you should have 64 total half double crochets at the end of round number 1. And I will meet you back when I am getting closer to this side. Just remember to always use your whole shaft. Always turn your hook head down when you're pulling through, and you should be going really well. And don't remember to get too tense or too loose, because whenever you're too tense, it will get really small. Too loose, it will be really loose. So just try to kind of be the perfect balance. I know it's tough, but you'll definitely get the hang of it as you keep doing more crochet things, and before long it will be totally very, very easy. Alright, so you can see I have 2 chains left, and we're just going to yarn over and make sure not to go into that place where you did your half double crochet in your last chain. Go into the next chain, and then go into not that big loop, but to the following chain. You should have 64 chains. So to count, you can, or not 64 chains, 64 half double crochets. So to count them, all you're going to do is you're going to count the V's. So it's basically almost the same thing as counting chains, but it's a little bit different. So you're just going to count the top, and you can kind of see where each one is separated. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then here's another V, 6, and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and you can kind of separate them. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and then 36, and then 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64. There we go. So we have 64. And if you don't have the right number, you probably missed chains, or if you have too many, you probably went into that hole that I told you that you don't want to go into, that I was trying to indicate that you didn't want to go into. So, all right, so for now, for row number 2, what you're going to do is you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to turn your work. Now, why do you chain 1 is because if you were to turn your work without chaining 1, it'd be really hard to get to the level, and you end up with kind of a kitty wampus edge. So what you do, instead of, if you chain 1, then you turn your work, and then you're already at the level that the half double crochets will be at. So just do a chain 1 like we've done before, like we did for the original chain for the blanket. So chain 1, turn your work, and now you're going to half double crochet into each stitch across. So all that means is you're going to go into the top of each V. So some patterns say to not go into that first stitch, and instead the chain counts as your first stitch. I do not prefer to do that. I prefer to do less chains, and instead have my first stitch count, or do a half double crochet into my first stitch, because it just makes a cleaner edge and less like holes, and it makes it look less weird. So just yarn over, and then you're going to go to the top of that half double crochet. So there's total of 3 loops. There's 1 loop on the side, and then there's 2 on the top. And what you're going to do is you're going to separate the loop on the side and the 2 loops on the top. And it normally is pretty natural. Like, it makes sense to go there. So let me move this a little bit away. There we go. So yarn over, you're going to insert into the top, and then you'll have 2 loops on your hook. So you'll have 1, 2, and then 2 from going into the top of that stitch. You're going to yarn over, pull through, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And there is stitch number 1, of row 2. Good job. Now we're going to, let me move this, I'm going to put a stitch marker here. And what you're going to do is you're just going to continue that for each stitch of the row. And that is the whole repeat for the pattern. Just half double crochet in each stitch and then chain 1 to turn. Let me show you what it looks like with the gray yarn. Here we go. So we did a couple of example stitches here. I'm going to just do a couple more real quick so that you guys don't have to be bored. There we go. Now I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work, and you can see here's the top V's of each stitch. So there's V number 1. If I turn it like this, you guys can really see it. So here's V number 1. That's the chain. So here's V number 1, then V number 2, V number 3, 4, and 5. So you're going to just yarn over, and then you're going to, it's pretty natural that there's kind of a hole here. There's one loop down here that you're just going to leave down here, and you're just going to go into the top 2 loops. You're going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So you're going to yarn over, going only into those top 2. And it's pretty, once again, there's like a pretty good sized hole that you're just going to go into. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And I believe I have a tutorial for how to make a half double crochet. So if you're really struggling, you can go check that out. It's really slow, and we'll walk you through how to do it. So just yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So yarn over, insert into the top 2 loops, under those 2 loops, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And that is the very simple repeat. And then once you end round number 2, you're just going to chain 1 and turn. And then you're going to do the same thing. So you're going to go into the top 2 loops of each of the stitches. And you're going to do that for 7 rows. So a total of 7 rows. So we are on round number 2. So then once you finish round number 2, 5 more rows. And then we will change color. So that is very simple way of what we're going to do. Now I'm going to go back to this blue yarn. And I'm going to just show you one more time, and then I'll let you go ahead. So yarn over, going into the top 2 loops, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And you're just going to continue to do that. So going into the top, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And you're just going to continue. I'm going to continue this to the end of round number 2. Then I'll meet you back and we will start round number 3 together. So yarn over, don't go into that same stitch where you did your half double crochet. Go into the next V, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And you're just going to continue that, and I'll meet you back when we are done. Alright, so you can see that here's my stitch marker, and so this is my last stitch. Now, I highly recommend using a stitch marker or some other thing to mark your last stitch. Otherwise, a lot of crocheters will end up losing stitches or accidentally gaining stitches, and they'll end up with a funnel shape or just a lot of weird shapes. So use a stitch marker, use whatever you want to use, but just have something there for your last stitch. So just for the last stitch, it's the same thing as we've been doing all along. You're just going to yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, and yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And you have completed round number 2. Congratulations. Now we are going to chain 1, turn our work, and for round number 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, you're just going to do the exact same thing you did for row number 2. So yarn over, insert into that very first stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And then I'm just going to move my stitch marker. And try to just keep as consistent as tension as possible. I know it's sometimes a little bit of a challenge, but just try your best to do that. And you will be well on your way to making a beautiful blanket. So once you finish round number 7, I'll meet you back and we will add on the white color for the blanket. Alright, so as you can see, we finished this blue strip, and how you can count 7 rows is 1 row will face away from you and 1 row will face toward you. So you can kind of see where you worked into the top of that stitch. So then you count, that's 1 row, and then there's another row, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then I last night just had the opportunity to be able to work on this a little bit, but my lighting wasn't very good, so I decided I couldn't really film. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to change colors with different colors instead of right here. But all I did last night was I just did 7 rows of white, because if you remember our chart, that's what the next color was going to be. And of course you can use whatever 3 colors you want to use, but I'm going to use blue, white, and then I'm going to go back to blue, and then I'm going to go to gray. And then we're going to repeat that one more time. So blue, white, blue, gray. So this is what it's looking like, and you can see that, hopefully you guys can see the white, because it's sometimes hard to get the right color. It's either washed out or you can, it's so dark you can't even see it. So you can see that I didn't work the very last half double crochet. And you can see here's my stitch marker from the last row where the first half double crochet is. So what you're going to do is you're going to yarn over, and you're going to do basically you're going to do a half double crochet, but you're just not going to finish it quite yet. So what you're going to do, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through. So let me show you that really good and clear. So you're going to yarn over, then you're going to insert into that last stitch, yarn over, pull through, and now you have 3 loops on your hook. And normally what you do is you yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook, but instead what we're going to do is we are going to cut the yarn, so right here, and I'm going to recommend giving you about an 8-inch tail or so, maybe 12 inches, about that, about 12-inch tail. And then I'm going to grab my blue yarn, so the next color that you want to work with, and I'm going to, instead of yarning over with the white and pulling through like you normally do, you're going to grab the blue yarn and you're going to yarn over and pull through. So we have the 3 loops on your hook. Now you're just going to grab the blue yarn, and then so you're going to hold the tail on the back side, and then the front side will be your working strand. So you're just going to yarn over and pull through, and there you go. So now that was like a seamless color change. You'll never notice that that was even a color change because it's still perfectly white. And then later I'll show you how to come back and weave in these tails. But for now you can just continue to crochet up your blanket. So now you'll just chain 1 like normal and turn your work, and now you're just going to half double crochet into the first stitch like you've been doing all along. So yarn over, insert into that very first stitch, yarn over, pull through. You should have 3 loops on your hook, 1, 2, and 3. Remember to use your whole shaft, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook, and then you're going to move your stitch marker up. And yeah, that is what you're going to do for the next 7 rows. Then I'll meet you back and we will do the color change together, and then I will tell you to continue to make the blanket. So just want to make sure I'm very clear. All you're going to do is you're just going to half double crochet across, so into each of the next stitches, and then once you reach the other side, you're going to chain 1 and turn, and you're just going to do that for a total for 7 rows. So this blue color will be 7 rows, and you can see this is row number 1, and it's looking great. And so you're just going to continue that for a total of 7 rows, and I will meet you back, and we'll do the color change again together, and then we will continue the blanket. All right, so as you can see, let me lay this out for you guys to see a little bit. There we go. So you can see there's our blue portion, here's our white portion, and then here's our blue portion. And of course, if you're using different colors, it'll be a little bit different. But now we need to add another color. So you can see that I did 7 rows. So let me bring it a little closer to you guys so you can see, hopefully. So there's 1, then there's 2, then there's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So 7 rows is what we are going for all along. So now that we finished that, what you're going to do is you're going to take out, I'm just going to put a stitch marker here so you guys can see it a little bit better. You're going to take out that last half double crochet, and what you're going to do into that is you're going to do the exact same thing we did for the white, but I just want to make sure you guys know this so that you don't have to back up the video. So what you're going to do, just yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, and then you have 3 loops on your hook, and normally you would yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Instead, what you're going to do is you're going to grab your scissors and you're going to leave about an 8-inch tail. There we go. And then you're going to grab your gray yarn. So this is the first time that I'm going to be using the gray. And all you're going to do is you're just going to have the back tail going away, and then you're going to be holding your working yarn in your hands, so like that, and you're just going to yarn over, and I'm holding that yarn in the back, otherwise it would just fly around. So I'm holding that gray strand, that's the tail, and I'm just going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, and there you go. So now you can do 7 rows of this gray color, and then you are halfway done. Once you finish that gray, you are halfway done with blankets. So we did blue, white, blue so far. Now we are going to do gray. Then we're going to do blue, white, blue, and gray. So that is what we're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and now chain 1 and turn my work. And I'm going to begin making half double crochets into each stitch across, making sure to use my whole shaft so as to not get super tight stitches. And yeah, so I'm just going to continue to do these half double crochets in each stitch across, and you can see we're doing such beautiful colors together. So now I'm just going to continue doing this, and I will meet you back when I am ready to change colors again, and we will do that together. Okay, so as you can see, let me lay it down for you guys. So we now completed the gray strip, and we have the blue strip done, and then the white strip, and there you go, and then the blue strip. So we are making really good progress, and you can see it's just coming along really nicely. So what we're gonna do is, I should move this stitch marker so you guys can see it a little bit better. I'm just going to, normally you should have a stitch marker at the end of your stitch, but I just tend to forget because it's just natural for me to not move a stitch marker. But you should have a stitch marker. And what you're going to do is you're going to take out that last half double crochet that you did, and you're going to put your hook in. And what you're going to do is you're just going to yarn over and insert into that last stitch that your stitch marker should be in. So let me bring that, there you go. Yarn over, insert. Then you're going to yarn over and like that. And then pull through. And then you'll have 3 loops on your hook. And now what you're going to do is you're going to cut your yarn. Let me grab my scissors, there we go. And you're going to leave about an 8 to 10 inch tail, I would say. And now I'm going to put my gray yarn aside, and it's wrapped around my blanket. There we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grab the blue yarn, and we're going to start the repeat. So we basically did about half of the blanket now. So we've done 4, and then we'll do 4 more. And I'm considering these rows are ending up being for me about 4.5. So I might do, we'll see at the end. If I have enough, I'm going to do probably a blue strip at the top, but we'll see. I'm not exactly sure. So we have 3 loops on your hook, and we cut the yarn. Now we're going to grab the blue yarn, and you're going to have your tail to the back where the other tail is at, and give yourself about 10 inches. There we go. And then you're going to grab the working yarn, so you're going to put that onto your finger, onto your hand, and then you're just going to yarn over, wrapping around toward the back, and then you're going to pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And then you can kind of pull on these 2 end strands to make it about right. There you go. And now you're just going to chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to begin doing your 7 rows of blue yarn, of using blue yarn. So just going to go ahead and yarn over, insert into the first stitch, and you're just going to do your half double crochets in each stitch across. And I will meet you back once I have finished those 7 rows, and we will do the next color together. And so I'll meet you back. Alright, so as you can see, I just finished the 7 rows of blue. Now you're just going to make sure you have 1 stitch left, and you're going to do the same thing we've been doing all along. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, and you should have 3 loops on your hook. And now you're going to grab your next color of yarn. For me, that is this beautiful white. Let me show you the chart again, just so you guys get an idea. So it's blue, white, blue, gray, blue, and now we're going to do white right here, and then we'll do blue, gray, and possibly another blue. We'll see if you want to do that, you could. If not, not. So now all we're going to do is you're just going to grab the new yarn, leave about 10 inches left, and I did run out of, I almost ran out of this blue yarn. So my mom's actually running to the store to buy some more right now. But anyway, we're going to start the white, so just yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And now you are good to go for the next 7 rows. So just chain 1, turn your work, and half double crochet into each stitch across. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And by this point, it should be becoming pretty comfortable to where you feel like you're able to go a little bit faster and not struggle quite as much. So hopefully that's how it's going. And I will meet you back once I finish these next 7 rows, and we will do the next tie off together. Alright, as you can see, I finished my 7 rows, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my new ball of blue yarn. So this is the Twilight, like we already mentioned. And normally when you're pulling out your yarn, you want to pull from the center, because it's just a little bit easier when you're working on it, because the ball of yarn isn't just rolling all over the floor. Instead, it comes from the center pull. But the other problem with that is sometimes you normally end up getting a clump like this that you have to work through. So you can decide whether you prefer to have the ball rolling all over the floor or trying to untangle a mess like this. So now what we're gonna do, once I find my end, alright, so I just got the yarn untangled. Now I'm gonna leave myself about an 8-inch strand of yarn, and I'm just gonna yarn over, pull through with the blue yarn. So now we did blue, white, blue. We're gonna do blue, and then we're gonna do gray next after this. And then you can decide at that point whether or not you would like to do another section of blue or not. That's totally optional. So now I'm going to do this this section of 7 rows of blue, and then I'll do the 7 rows of gray, and then I'll meet you back and we will decide whether or not we are going to do the last section or not. All right, so as you can see, I actually just finished the blanket. So let me show you what I did on this chart. So I did blue, white, blue, gray, and then I did blue, white, blue, gray, and then I did one more 7 rows of blue at the top, because I wanted it to be about 40 inches, and when I just did gray, blue, white, when I just did these original, it was about 36 inches, so I wanted about a couple more inches, so I just did one more strip of blue, and I actually really like how it completes the blanket. So that's what I did. And we just did the same, and I just did the same, like changing colors. So now we are going to go ahead and tie off this blanket, which is so exciting. Congratulations on finishing it. So we have 7 rows of this blue, and now I came to the last stitch, which I can put a stitch marker in just so you guys can see where that is. So that is the last stitch of the last row. So like that. Now I'm going to cut my yarn, leaving myself about an 8-inch tail. So let's see, hopefully, it's really hard to show this right now because my desk is kind of small and this blanket is rather large. So now we had finished this half double crochet, your hooks in it. Normally what you do is chain one and turn and begin the next row, but instead, because we're all done, all you're gonna do is you're just going to yarn over and pull through. And then you're just going to pull that loop all the way up. So basically we did a chain, but instead of like keeping the loop on your hook and doing something else, you're just going to pull up. And then you're just going to tighten that. So then you should end up with 0 loop left. So let me show you that one more time. I'm just going to take it out and show you guys one more time just to make sure you understand what we did. So we finished that last half double crochet. Now all we are going to do is just yarn over, pull through, basically a chain, and then you're just going to pull up and then tighten. So using that strand just to tighten it, and you completed your blanket. Congratulations. So now I'm going to show you how to weave in the tails. For the tails, what I prefer to do is I like to make a knot, and I prefer to do that just because I feel like it's less likely that these tails will ever show again, like will ever come out from like, will come undone. And just know that your work will never be able to like be unraveled with these tails. So like you'll never lose the blanket. So let me show you what I do, and then I can show you what the other option is to do. So what I do is, you can see we have these 2 tails, and I'm just going to make a knot. Now you don't want to, when you, just a basic knot, but you're not going to want to pull too terribly tight. Otherwise your stitches will become smaller, and so just kind of pull a little bit, but not super tight. You want to make them all look about even. So like that. And then I'm just going to make one more knot. And so 2 knots like that. And you can see that blends in really well. Now what I like to do is I like to grab the blue or the white strand first, whatever you want to do. I'm going to grab the blue strand first. And I'm going to work through these stitches. So let me show you what I mean by that. So I put the yarn on the darning needle, and a tip to put the yarn on the darning needle is to put the yarn over your thumb, so the nail of your thumb, and then, let's see, there we go. And then to push your darning needle onto your thumbnail, so and then just grab that little bit that you have on your thumb and then pull it up like that. And you want to leave yourself a pretty short on this side and then longer on this side, otherwise it'll be harder to pull through. So now what we're going to do, we made those 2 knots, and what you're going to do is you're just going to go through the middle, so you won't see it on this side much or on this side, and you're just going to work through the middle of those stitches, working this way. And I'm just going to go in like maybe 2 inches or so, and you want to make sure you don't pull it too tight, otherwise you'll end up with like a big kind of where like it's not even on the edge. So you want to kind of make sure it's nice and relaxed, so not super tight. And I'm just going to go through one more stitch like that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to do the same thing with this white strand. So I'm going to put it on my darning needle, and to do that, remember, just lay it over your thumb, your nail of your thumb, and then put the darning needle onto that and grab that. And now I'm just going to go through the white stitches so that will hide better. So I'm going to go through that one and then through here. And the goal is to get them between. So you're not going to try to, like, if you were to just go like this, then you'd see like a big long white strand. So the goal is to go between the stitches so it's pretty not visible. That's the goal. So I'm just going to go through those stitches, and hopefully you guys can see that. There you go. And then I'm just going to pull that through. And remember to not pull too tight, otherwise you'll end up with a weird shape. So you just kind of want to make sure it's nice and relaxed before you finish. And then I'm just going to take this blue strand because it's a little bit longer. And you don't have to go in as far as I've gone. I would say just go like 3 or 4 stitches in. Or if your tail is shorter, then you can just go in like 3 stitches or 2 stitches. So I'm just going to now go over to the very edge of the blue, right there. And then we're going to pull that through. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a knot with these 2 again. So just to make it nice and secure, this is just how I do it. There's a lot of different ways to do it. So if you don't love this way, I'll show you another way in just a second. And when you make the knot, you want to make sure you pull so it's not like pulling together, like I mentioned before. So making sure that it's not, there you go. So don't pull it super tight. And the goal is to have it close but not on the same stitch, otherwise it'll just come right through. So hopefully this is making sense like that. And then all I do is I just cut my yarn just pretty close to the tail, or to the knot, excuse me. There we go. And you can see, I think that hides really well, and I know that that's not going to come undone because we secured it with multiple knots, and I feel like it just is a really good way of tying those tails in. Now, the other way to do it, I'm going to go to this spot right here, is to not make any knots. And if you prefer to do that, that is totally fine. So let me show you what you would do if you don't want to make knots. So I'm going to grab the blue strand of yarn and put it on my darning needle first. And what we're going to do is we are going to go through the stitches like we did on the last time. And you're just going to go through probably 5-ish stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go through one more, about 5 stitches. And then once you've done that, you're going to, I might go through one more stitch, or you don't have to. So I've gone through 5 stitches. Now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go into that same back, because if I were to go in that same spot where we just came out of, it would just come undone, and that would be totally not useful. So you can see we came out of right here, and what we're going to do is we're going to go back like into the stitch right next to it, and then we're going to go back through the same way. So just make sure that you don't go into that same spot where you just came out of, otherwise it will just come right through, and there we go. So like that. Now I'm going to go back in. Basically the whole technique with this is just to go through so many times that it won't ever come unraveled. And that works. I just prefer to feel the security of having it really, knowing that it's really secure with knots. That's just my personality. But if you like it this way, that is perfectly fine too. So that is what you do, and then you just take the gray one and do the exact same. So you would put it on your darning needle, and then once you've gone through it about 3 times like we just did, so we went once this way, once this way, and once this way. Now you can just cut it at about the spot, and then just pull, and it will hide that tail. So then do the same thing with the blue side. So you're going to go through each stitch, trying to not go on this side or on this side, making sure it's about in the center. So you can see, there you go. There's your needle, and pulling that through like that. And going through about 5 stitches was what I prefer to do. So that was 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to go through one more stitch. And then I'm just showing you this again just so you guys understand it. So then you can see we came out of that middle of that stitch, and we're not going to want to go in that same spot, otherwise it's just going to come undone with what we just did. So I'm going to go 1 stitch next to it, and then I'm going to go back the same direction, or the opposite direction would be more the right term, like that. And now you can see I have a really short tail, So I'm just going to call that good. So 2 to 3 times is what the goal is. And that also does a really nice job of weaving in your tails so you'll never see them. So that is my 2 different techniques that I use to weave in my tails. And then you just cut it like that. And it's nicely hidden. Now for your tails at your ends, so where you began and where you ended, I prefer to just tie a knot probably. So what I would do is, because this is so short, I'm just going to go into that hole right here and just find kind of a hole to put it in. And just have the little bit of a tip come out and have a loop right here. So have a loop, and then on this side it's a tail. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to push that tail through the loop and tighten, and that's a knot. So I'm going to probably do that one more time, and then I'll probably call it good because it's such a short tail. So I'm going to just push it through here, and then you can see I have a loop, so I'm just going to push that tail through the loop and tighten. And there's 2 knots, so it should be really secure. And now I'm just going to cut the yarn, and it hides pretty well. This is a nice yarn that really hides the tails pretty well. So yeah, that is what I'm going to do on each of these little ends. So you can see here the next one, we're just going to, it's the 2 of them. You can either knot them and then go this way and then do another knot, or you can just go back and forth a couple of times. So whatever you prefer. And yeah, you have completed your blanket. Congratulations. Thank you so much for making this super fun crochet blanket along with me. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give this video a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I make a new video on Fridays, so I'd love to see you there. Also, don't forget to comment down below. I absolutely love hearing from you guys. It makes my day. So if you comment down below and tell me what colors you made this blanket in and how it turned out, I just love hearing from you. So thank you so much for doing that, and I will see you next time. Bye!